Yo, what's up, everybody, man? It's your guy, Nick Frazier, man, one half of the Water Cooler Talk podcast, man. As you saw by the thumbnail, is Jackson Arnold, can Jackson Arnold be a Heisman Trophy finalist in 2025? We'll talk about it right after the intro. Let's go. Let's go.
Going live.
With the coolest podcast.
The Water Cooler Talk podcast. The coolest podcast.
In your ear.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight here, man, on this Thursday. What is this? Is this the 9th? Yeah, the 9th day of January in the year of our Lord 2025, man. Thank y'all so much for giving me a little bit of your time tonight as we sit down and we talk some Auburn football, man. And as you saw from the thumbnail tonight, we talking Jackson Arnold and quarterback, man. And could Jackson Arnold potentially be in that Heisman conversation before the end of the year next year, before the end of the year this year in 2025, man? We'll get through that. We'll look at some stats. We'll look at some stats. And I don't know, it may surprise y'all, it may not, but we'll see, man. At the end of the chat, I'll let you know how I feel about it. If he can, if he doesn't. But this is gonna be a good discussion, man. Make sure you follow, make sure you talk with me in the chat, man, because this one could get pretty good, man. I appreciate y'all, man. As always, before we get going, man, thank y'all so much for rocking with us here, man. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Water Cooler Talk Podcast, man. Follow us on Facebook at the Water Cooler Talk Podcast on Facebook. On Twitter and X, follow us at CoolersPod23. And of course, subscribe, like, and share the video. And hit the notification bell here on YouTube, man. We are trying to trudge our way. Trudge our way to 600 subscribers, man. And we thank y'all so much for continuing to rock with us here at the Water Cooler Talk Podcast, man, as always, because we have a good time coming around the water cooler and talking Auburn sports and SEC news, man. So thank y'all again. And let's go ahead and get into the topic of tonight, man. The thumbnail said, Heisman finalists? Can Jackson Arnold be a Heisman finalist in 2025? Ooh, it's a possibility. It's a possibility, man. It's a possibility, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's see what's going on in the chat, man. JT, shout out to Jonathan Taylor, man. He says 0 chance. Ooh, giving him a 0 chance. Ooh, oh, man. Arbor Dad for life, man. What's going on, man? Appreciate you so much for rocking with us here, man. War Eagle, to answer your question, I don't care if he's a Heisman finalist. As long as we win and he does better than we had in the past, winning is the biggest thing we need. That is correct. I wholeheartedly agree with you that winning trumps everything. But if he's winning, that means he has to be having a pretty decent season going forward, right? So hopefully them numbers can possibly put him in that conversation. And looking at something like that, that makes the program overall more attractive to other guys, because that lets other guys know that the coaching staff here, which this is a big part of it as well. The coaching staff here is putting the guys in the best position for them to perform, which means that if they're performing, which means they're doing their best, which means they are becoming they're becoming part of the conversation for postseason awards. So let's see if that happens. Shout out to Tight Sports, man. Tight with the laughing emojis. Shout out to Tight, man. JT said, War Eagle, man. War Eagle to you, man. He said he agreed with you 100%. AU Dad, he agreed with you 100%. So, man, it's gonna be easy, man. Shout out to our guy Bubba. Bubba, what's going on, man? Bubba said, are we talking about the same Jackson Arnold? Did I miss something? But to answer the question, I don't think so. Mainly because I don't feel as if he's gonna throw for the amount of yards or touchdowns necessary. We'll get into it, man. I've compiled some stats that will kind of blow your mind. And I'll say this: it's possible, but is it likely? We'll see. I think it's possible for him to receive consideration, but I don't think he makes it to New York. I may be in that boat with you there, Bubba. I may not be, but We'll look at some numbers, and I'll let you all make that decision based on some historical stats, man. Auburn Athletic says it will take a miracle. Whoo! Okay, then. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. So we're talking about the guy, Jackson Arnold, who we signed at the end of the first week of the transfer portal. The first week of the transfer portal opened up on December 9th. By December 14th, 13th, 14th, he was signed, and he was at Auburn after Malik Murphy came through, and his video came out. He signed. He's an Auburn Tiger. He is presumptively, he is going to be the starting quarterback for Auburn in 2025. Now, just so you can see here, Jackson Arnold, 6'1", 210 pounds. He is what they consider to be a 5-star plus recruit coming out of the class of 2023. What does that mean? Every recruiting service had him as a 5-star talent. He was rated a 5-star by every recruiting service. There was Rivals, 247, On3, ESPN. Those are the main ones. All of them had him rated as a 5-star coming out of high school. So that says a lot right there. Ended up going to Oklahoma. His collegiate stats, career stats, as you can see on the screen there, 1,098 yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 62.9% completion. So roughly about 63% completion percentage in his career. Now, his first year there, didn't play a lot, only had roughly about 500 yards, a little bit over 500 yards in passing his first season there. But the second season there, as we all know, last year, was not that great. Did not have a lot around him consistently around for the season. So it was up and down. He got benched in the Tennessee game the week before the Auburn game, came back at the end of the season, ended up leading Oklahoma to a win over Alabama at the end of the season. That was 24-3. So the thing about Jackson Arnold that they say his talent, his potential is through the roof. Like, it's there. Like, this guy is like, he was not a 5-star plus recruit for no reason. So there was something there. Won a state championship in high school. This guy is that guy. Auburn's coaching staff felt that they felt that he was being misused at Oklahoma, and they felt that the system that Auburn wants to run here with Coach Hugh Freeze, that in this system, Jackson Arnold will be able to thrive and will be able to show his array and how in the true spectrum of his talent that he has at the quarterback position. So we're hoping as Auburn fans that this is true, that this right here is true, that the Auburn coaching staff feels that because he was being misused this past season at Oklahoma, they feel like he fits what they want to do, and that with him in this system, which looks to be an upgrade from the previous quarterback in Peyton Thorne that we had, with him being there, going out, getting him early in the portal, going out, making sure that we got the guy that we wanted in the portal, that Coach Friesen wanted, getting him on campus. I think he's already on campus now, or will be by the end of this week. It seems as if they have a plan for Jackson Arnold going forward to make sure that his talent is shining and that his talent is best used for what they want to do at Auburn in this offense. RPO style offense, run pass option in this offense. He has a live arm. Some of the things that they say about him, he has a live arm. He can change the delivery angle of his throw. He's very above average speed. He's very accurate. He has good touch on the ball. And he's just a baller. And that's really what I'm looking for this season. Is Jackson Arnold a baller? Can Jackson Arnold be the guy at the end of when we need to get a first down, when we need to make a play, can he be that guy that can go out and make a play for Auburn's offense to get us to that next level, to get us to that, to get us that first down, to get us in position to kick a field goal, to get us in position to possibly get a game tying or game winning touchdown? Is he that guy? That's what I'm interested in seeing. The numbers will come. I think the numbers will come this year. I think you saw this from this past season, what this offense wanted to look like, especially in the Texas A&M game. I think you saw what Coach Hugh Freeze and his offensive staff wants the offense to look like. So if we insert Jackson Arnold into that offense, into that style of play, is he going to perform? Does his talents match? And is it going to be able to contribute and produce the numbers that can get him into that consideration? Let's look at it. All right, so let's give a little bit of history on the Heisman. So here is some history on the stats of the Heisman Trophy. Okay, so I went back to 2014. Okay, I'm sorry. On the left hand column, it says since 2014. On the right hand, that should say since 2019. But we're going to start on the left hand side. It says since 2014, there have been 41 Heisman Trophy finalists. All right. 28 of the 41 have been quarterbacks. Now, in some of those years, you had guys that were finalists multiple times, like Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud, or Deshaun Watson. A lot of those guys were finalists multiple years in a row, but they're still counted in that 41. And out of that, those 41 finalists, and out of those 28, 8 quarterbacks have won the award since 2014. So 2014, you're saying Marcus Mariota, you're looking at Kyler Murray, you're looking at Joe Burrow, you're looking at man, I'm drawing a blank here, man. Who else? Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. You looking at Caleb Williams. You're looking at all those type of guys that won. Or Jaden Daniels, who won it in 2023. You're looking at those type of guys that have won the award since 2014. Now, let's move to the next column. Now, I know at the top it says since 2014. That should say since 2019. So the right-hand side should say since 2019. That's just a mistype. It should say since 2019. Since 2019, 18 QBs have been a finalist for the award. And out of those finalists, out of the 18 finalists, the average stats for those guys have been 4,160 yards, 38 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and roughly about 69.7% completion. Is what you're looking at. So roughly about a 70% clip they're completing their passes at. Out of the 18 quarterbacks that have been finalists since 2019, 4 quarterbacks have won the award. Since 2019, Joe Burrow, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels. And out of those 4 winners, their average stats out of those 4 guys have been 4,723 yards, 47 touchdowns, 5.5 interceptions, and just over 70% completion. Now that you see those numbers, you look at what Auburn is doing. And I keep saying this. The right side should say since 2019. That's what it should say. It should say since 2019, not 2014. The right side should say since 2019. The left side should say since 2014. Now you look at those numbers. Off of those averages, do you think that Jackson Arnold will be able to get anywhere close to those numbers in order for him to be in consideration for the Heisman Trophy? Now, just to remind you, these are average stats. You take all of those guys, you add them up, divide it, and it pushes out an average. That's the average that you're looking at. Okay. Now, within that average, you have some guys. I think Joe Burrow, if you look at the side where it says the 4 quarterbacks have won the award, I think Joe Burrow was the most. I think he had like 5,600 yards his Heisman Trophy season, 60 touchdowns, and something like that. And I think the least, if I'm not mistaken, was Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels had like 3,800 yards passing, 40 touchdowns, and like 4 interceptions. So there is a range there. There is a range there. Now, just based off of those stats, do you think that Jackson Arnold, presumably the guy that's going to come in to be the starting quarterback for Auburn, can he get anywhere near those numbers? Can he? Can Jackson Arnold get there? This is hard for me to say this because it's hard for me to say yes to this because I want to see it first, but I like I said, looking at the Texas A&M game from this past season, the first quarter and like the first 5 to 6 minutes of the second quarter is what I think Hugh Freeze wants this offense to look like. And if you're doing that in the first quarter, I mean, in a game, and you're doing it consistently, it's a possibility. It's a possibility that he can get those numbers. Where do I see Jackson Arnold being this year? If you ask me a realistic stat line for Jackson Arnold this year, I would probably say Jackson Arnold is probably a 34, somewhere between 33 and 34. Maybe I'm gonna give it a range. Somewhere between 3,300 and 3,500 yards passing is where I'm looking at that. Probably 26 to 29 touchdowns. I don't see him. I don't see it. He's an accurate quarterback. Realistically, I think he could possibly be right around that 6 to 7 interception percentage. And if he can get to 64, 65% completion, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. So I would say, just to split it, I would say 3,400 yards for the season, about 27, 28 touchdowns, about 7 interceptions, and about 64% completion. I think he's there. I think that's pretty good. Let's take a look at the chat, man, and let's see what y'all saying in the chat, man. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if anybody agree or disagree with me, man. Let's go ahead and get to it, man. JT said, man, we acting like Jackson Arnold was a demon, just with no O-line or wide receivers. I mean, he didn't have a array of. I mean, he didn't have his guys around him all last year for him to actually to be able to perform. So I think, and like I stated before, with him having the talent of receivers around him that he's going to have at Auburn this coming up season, I think we see that guy. And remember, Peyton Thorne had 2,700 yards passing this year, and he missed a game and a half. And he was averaging roughly about 240, 245 yards a game passing. If he would have played, that game and a half, he would have easily been right at 3,100 yards for the season. So if Peyton Thorne can do it, and we're sitting here saying that Jackson Arnold potentially has a higher ceiling than Peyton Thorne, and we're saying he's a better talent, it should translate on the field. We'll see, man. Gregory McCart said Jackson Arnold will rock this offense if the O-line improves. I mean, yeah, I agree with you there, man. And that's something that the staff went out and did this season. They went out and improved the O-line. You have Connor Lew coming back. You have Dylan Wade and Jeremiah Wright coming back. You shored up Xavier Chaplin at the left tackle position, and Xavier Miller seems to be coming back, and you went out and got Mason Murphy as well. Not to mention Broderick Scholl, who came in the 25 class. You still have Drake Carter in this class. You still have Joyner, who's in who's there as well. I mean, you have a lot of talent there. You just got to solidify what you want to do. And you got a lot of guys that came back from the line last year that's going to be there as well. Auburn Dad said, don't get me wrong. Jackson Arnold has potential. It's just you also factor in who's calling plays, putting him in the right position to get the stats needed. Yeah, I agree with you there. We had this conversation last night. How do we feel about Coach Hugh Freeze in this play calling situation, man? If he's able to, if he's going to be the sole play caller and he can get a feel for the game, and we're just having one person call plays and not having a play calling system by committee, I think. And we just have that one steady voice in Jackson Arnold's ear on game day. I think he'll be all right. JA was good with the wide receivers and O-line, but come on, let's be real. He ain't no Heisman contender. Okay. All right, JT. I hear what you're saying. But I just think I'll say this. I just think that if the hype around Jackson Arnold is real, if he's the 5-star plus talent that everybody says he is, if he's that guy, then his talent should be better than what we had the past 2 seasons. He should be able to step in and he should be able to take command of this offense, and he should be able to do what he wants. We should be able to at least do what we did last year good, and hopefully improve in the red zone with the array of talent around him. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Bo was a joke on about Heisman, but in his last season he was realized. Yeah, Bo Nix went out to a system that really fit his style of play. Shout out to Kenny Dillingham when he was at Oregon. Really fit his style of play, and it made him a Heisman finalist. Which congratulations to him. Hendon Hooker threw for 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and didn't make it to the ceremony. He was 5th. I think that's probably the max we're gonna get from Jackson Arnold this year. Okay. That is. I mean, I'm not mad at that. I understand exactly where you're coming from with that. I completely understand. But what if he does? What if he just balls out? What if he shows us something in the Baylor game, and we just be like, "Whoa, whew, okay, we'll see what happens." I'm trying so hard to be positive, but the last 5 years have taken it out of me. Agree, man. I completely understand where you're coming from. You haven't seen the production on the field, and it's just been hard to watch. And we've always, at the beginning of every season, we always try to hype ourselves up as Auburn fans to be excited about the season, and then something bad just happens. So I completely understand where you're coming from, man. I just try to see the positive in everything as much as I possibly can. I don't trust it until I see 2 to 3 games in a row where Jackson Arnold does solid, because week 1 last year gave me so much false hope. Yeah, Alabama A&M 72 points was, whew, man. I remember after the game, the mayor, shout out to the mayor Marcus, said we should hold our toilet paper, we should hold our TP until the rest of the season, and we didn't really get a chance to use that much of it this past season. But hey, gotta enjoy the wins. Whatever. I'm not sure Hugh's offense can produce those kinds of passing numbers. It's too balanced. Balanced last year by total yards alone, Auburn was 61% pass, 39% run. Would you consider that too balanced? I don't know. We'll see. Nope. All right. If we get a 4,000 yards and 40 plus TDs, we better be in the championship. Agree with you, Auburn Dad. We better be. And if that's the case, if we have a 4,000 yard pass, that means we got to have at least 2 1,000 yard receivers as well. That'll be dope. Don't see Jackson Arnold throwing 5 interceptions or less. Agree with you. I think he'll probably be somewhere around 7 or 8. Jane Daniels had them rushing. Yeah, he did. He had the rushing yards to go with it as well. Shout out to Martin. Auburn Dad said potentially yes. Realistically, no. Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe he can get them get within 350 yards or so if you include his rushing totals. But history shows when Hughes' offense leans heavier to the passing game, turnovers go up. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I mean, and that's just anything. When you have more attempts of passing, it's just gonna your opportunity for interceptions just goes up anyway. So That's interesting. That's a very true statement. That's what I'm saying, Bubba. Shout out. 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 64%. Yeah, I'm we kind of in the same ballpark right there, Bubba. I'm thinking probably more 3,400 yards, 27, 28 touchdowns. I think he'll be somewhere around 7 to 8 interceptions, and I got him at 64% completion as well. He's at 350 yards rushing. Okay. Auburn dad comes in and says, so Nick, I got a question. If Jackson Arnold was our quarterback out of high school and this was just his time to be QB after PT, do you think Auburn fans have a difference of opinion? If he was coming in out of high school in 2023 and Peyton Thorne was there, I think we probably, okay, to your question, Auburn dad, I would say this. If he was coming in 2023, correct, I think we probably only would have saw one season of Peyton Thorne. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I think we would have saw one season of Peyton Thorne because if you know it, Peyton Thorne would have came in the same year that Jackson Arnold would have came in. Peyton Thorne would have had his year, and this past season would have been Jackson Arnold's first season as the starter. That's what I think. And going into this year, this past season probably would it have looked different? I think it would have because of the weapons that he had on the outside of wide receiver. Offensive line, the left tackle side was not solidified enough, but the other side of the offensive line was pretty good. I honestly believe that you probably would have won 7, maybe 8 games this past season if Jackson Arnold was on the roster last year as a second-year player in Auburn system under Hugh Freeze. I agree there. I think that's what happened. Not only will we have better weapons, he'll also have a better system. Yep, RPO. Telling you, it's gonna be good. Auburn dad said, Bubba, I don't see him giving up one interception. He's pretty good. He's pretty good to be sent. Okay, all right. Auburn dad, it's not that I think Jackson Arnold's turnover prone. I just know Hughes quarterbacks typically have close 2 or more than 10 interceptions. Yeah, like okay, so in all honesty, interceptions came down for Peyton Thorne last year. I think he had 10 last year. It came down by 1. So you right there, you right. He's right there, right at that 10 number. So, but it did come down a little bit, which was surprising to me. I mean, honestly, if he would have played in that game and a half, it probably would have been right at that number, maybe 1 more if he would have played that full game. We got O-line depth if they all pan out. Very true. Very true. Hoping that happens. I think we'll have a better shot in 26 after a year in the system. I think that's how a lot of people feel this year. I think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people feel 26 is the year. Is the year that Auburn is actually going to make a run at it. That's what I think. That's a good point. Yeah, I think we're on the same page on this one. I agree with you. I think 3,400 yards this year is doable. I think 27, 28 touchdowns. I think he'll be right around 7 or 8 interceptions and about 64% completion is where I think Jackson Arnold will be this year. If Jackson Arnold plays the way that the hype was coming out of high school, he could be one of the best QBs in the nation. That is true. And I have a graphic to show you the top 10 single seasons before this season, before the 2024 season, the top 10 single seasons in Auburn history. We'll take a look at that and see where he would place if those numbers that we are talking about happens. If he looks the field better than Peyton Thorne, he would thrive. That was Peyton Thorne's problem last year. Where it was line on him, he had some poor decisions also. Yep, that's true. If Jackson Arnold makes great decisions this coming up year, if he checks into the correct play, if he's not scared of the moment, that's the big thing. If he's not scared of the moment and he has that it factor about him when he walks on the field and you see it, he has that swagger, I think Auburn will be fine, man. Shout out to King Richard, man. King Richard is here, man. Shout out to you, my guy. This isn't about what he did at Oklahoma. It's about the hype he brings with him. Very true. That's actually a very good viewpoint of looking at that. It's not about what he did at Oklahoma, because the Auburn coaching staff did say that they felt that he was not being utilized correctly at Oklahoma. That was something that was said and that was reported. So with the hype he's bringing in, him being a 5-star plus guy, plus the fact of the matter is we all consider him to be a better talent than what we had the past 2 seasons. And the talent that we had last year almost threw for 3,000 yards. it's a possibility that Jackson Arnold could put up some explosive numbers, probably have one of, if not the best season as an Auburn quarterback. Yeah, man, Greg McCarr, based on my personal eval, he already does see the field better. Yep. Do you think Hugh Freeze regrets not going after a transfer portal quarterback? He did. Oh, you talking about last year? Yeah, I think he does. Because it makes this season, even though it makes this season much more consequential for Hugh Freeze. Just being honest, it does. Also, do you think J.A. may have lost his confidence from last year? I don't know if he lost his confidence from last year, but I will tell you this. He did not look comfortable in that offense last year at Oklahoma. I will say that. He did not look comfortable in that offense last year at Oklahoma. I don't know. I won't say he lost his confidence, but he didn't look confident in that offense. But he did make up for it at the end of the season when he came back in. Martin said 3,200 yards, 28 TDs equals how many wins? Bubba, you think? Bubba comes back and says, Martin, depending on the game management, 8 or 9. Okay. Did Auburn give Percy Lewis a new NIL deal to leave my dude could not hold water out of the faucet with a handle and turn it off? I don't know, but I think it was in the best interest of both parties that they separated. That's what they deferred at. Bro, I ain't even hear that metaphor. That's what it is. PT was too slow on decisions and decisions on D. Okay, I get what you're saying. Held on to the ball too much. He should have just threw it wide receiver was open instead of waiting. Agree. I feel where you're coming from with that. Instead of waiting on the receivers to get open, he should have been anticipating where the ball was throwing at. Agree. Yeah, last year I don't think Jackson Arnold was comfortable in that offense last year at Oklahoma. And you saw it because they fired the OC, I think mid-season as well. Did lose his confidence, but after Joe Finley took over the OC and empowered Jackson Arnold to play to his strengths and regain it, finished out pretty strong. Yep, surely did. Hugh thought Riley Leonard was coming. Then he asked for $700K more. Okay. Do you think that lack of confidence will carry over to Auburn and potentially hurt? No, I don't think he's less confident. I don't think Jackson Arnold is less confident at Auburn. I think he sees it as a new challenge. I think he sees it as a renewed sense. He gets to come in at a new place, start over, and actually show what he actually can do. He even said in an interview, he said he's familiar with the RPO system. So I think the only thing he has to learn is the terminology. Like the terminology may sound different. It may be some different wording in there, but overall, it's the exact. I mean, the base concepts are there. So he's confident with that. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm excited to see what he does, man. And we'll go from there, man. Which you wouldn't pay. Okay. Jonathan Taylor, honestly have no idea. It depends on Jackson Arnold himself, in my opinion. Okay. I don't think he lost his confidence. I think he just did what he could do to win. I agree. I mean, yeah, once the OC was fired, he didn't look. I don't think he didn't look comfortable in that Oklahoma's offense last season. I'll tell you that for sure. That's what I saw. They did a fan day Zoom before the season. Lewis had I don't give a F type demeanor. That may tell us a lot then. I don't know Jackson Arnold, but based on watching him, he got a little dog in him. He should perform well. I agree. I mean, I see a little bit of it, but I want to see it in the moments when it matters. I want to see it in the moments when Auburn needs to go out and get a first down. Auburn needs to go out and get a touchdown to win. Auburn needs to get in field goal range to potentially kick a game-winning field goal. Like, I want to see what he does in those moments to make Auburn better. And if that's the case, that little bit thing right there can push Auburn to, 8-9 wins. And they could possibly push the stats up as well. When Jackson Arnold, when J.A. played confident, like in the Ole Miss game, can be special. Agree. Wholeheartedly agree. I think we should wait and see after Jay's first interception and see how he reacts. I always say that, just like in relationships. I tell people in relationships all the time, wait until you get into your first argument to see if you still like that person or not. And interceptions are the exact same way. After his first interception, let's see how he rebounds from it. It is what it is. To be fair, Payne Thorne did do the getting the team onto the field goal range to pick up a game-winning field goal. Ian Vachon happened. You got a point there. He true. He did run out of field. He did have that long run down the field to get us there. And the special teams was just not there this year as it should have been. But hey, I agree with you there. But did he do it consistently though? We want somebody to do that consistently, and hopefully Jackson Arnold can do that. All right, man. Let's take a look at this stat right here, man. Top 10 single seasons in Auburn history, man. This is before the 2024 season. So you look here, man. This gives you yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and their completion percentage. Excuse me, and completion percentage for the year. So let's go from the bottom. Brandon Cox in 2005, 2,324 yards, 15 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 57.8%. That was in 2005. At number 9, Nick Marshall, 2,532 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 60.8% completion. Number 8, Bo Nix in 2019, 2,542 yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 57.6% yards, 57.6% completion. And number 7, Patrick Nix in 1995, 2,574 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 60.7% completion. Pat Sullivan, Heisman Trophy winner, 1970, 2,586 yards, 17 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 59.4% completion. At number 5, of course, Jason Campbell in 2004, the year Auburn should have played for the national championship. He had 2,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 INTs, and almost 70% completion in 2004. Jerry Stidham is on here twice. Jerry Stidham in 2018, 2,794 yards, almost 2,800 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and almost 61% completion. Heisman Trophy year for Cam Newton comes in at number 3 at 2,854 yards, 30 touchdowns, 7 INTs, and just at 66% completion in his Heisman Trophy year. And on top of that, he had almost 1,500 yards rushing and another 20 touchdowns. Running the ball as well. Jared Stidham comes in at number 2 again in 2017 at 3,158 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 66.5% completion in 2017. And that was an SEC championship year when Auburn beat Georgia and Alabama back-to-back, beat both number 1s back-to-back. And then number 1 in 1997, Damian Craig, 3,277 yards, 18 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 53.6% completion. That is the best single season in Auburn history. It's Damian Craig. So we're sitting here saying, based on what we're saying, if Jackson Arnold comes in and he throws for 3,200, 3,400 yards, 27, 28 touchdowns, 7 to 10 interceptions, and he's at 64% completion, Jackson Arnold will have the greatest single season in Auburn history. And normally what happens is if he stays another year, you get better the next year. So if his floor, his first year at Auburn is potentially a 3,300 yard season, 64% completion, 28 touchdowns, what would it look like in 2026 if he decides to come back? Could he potentially be a 4,000 yard passer in 2026? Could he potentially have 35, 40 touchdowns then? Could he potentially be a 69% completion percentage guy in 2026? I'm telling you, man, he potentially could potentially have the greatest single season for a quarterback in Auburn history. Literally, he could be. Now, after the 2024 season, Brandon Cox actually slid down to 11. And guess who jumped in? Guess who jumped in, ladies and gentlemen? It's going to be surprising to y'all. Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne, as of right now, ranks number 5 in top 10 single seasons in Auburn history from this past season in 2024. Peyton Thorne's stat line from this past season, 2,713 yards, 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 64.5% completion percentage. And he was literally, Peyton Thorne was a game and a half away, potentially, from being top 3 in Auburn history. Peyton Thorne, if he would have played the New Mexico game and the first half of the Arkansas game, Peyton Thorne would have been a 3,000-yard passer this season, meaning that he would have jumped above Heisman Trophy winner Cam Newton. So I want y'all to think about this. Think about this now. If Peyton Thorne, who we have given so much flack to, if Peyton Thorne, I'm not gonna talk about hypothetical. I'm gonna talk about what he did. I'm gonna talk about what he did on the field. In the games he played, I'm talking about what he did on the field. In the games he played, Peyton Thorne put up 2,713 yards, 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 64% completion. That right there puts him number 5 in Auburn history going forward of all-time single seasons. If Peyton Thorne can do that, and we've given Peyton Thorne that much flack, and we sit here and say that Jackson Arnold is a better talent, 5-star plus guy, and we're sitting here saying Jackson Arnold is that guy, the hype that comes behind him, what's to say Jackson Arnold cannot be top 3 next year? And if he decides to come back in 2026, potentially have the greatest single season a quarterback has had at Auburn. Me and Bubba right there. Me and Bubba say Bubba has him at 3,200 yards. I have him at 3,400 yards for the year. But we right there in touchdowns, interceptions, and completion percentage. I think my stat line is 3,400 yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 64% completion. I think Bubba has him at 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 64% completion this season. We literally could be Jackson Arnold literally could be looking at potentially having the greatest single season in Auburn history as a quarterback. And if he decides to come back in 2026, he will definitely increase on those numbers because he'll have chemistry with the offense. Cam Coleman ain't going nowhere if he balls out this season. Malcolm Simmons ain't going nowhere if he balls out this season. Eric Singleton has 2 more years of eligibility. Horatio Fields may be gone. Perry Thompson will be there. But I'm telling you, you bring that same cast of characters back, and then, but to be completely honest, you will more than likely be breaking in a new offensive line in 2026 if he does come back. Now that is that's a big question depending on how the offensive line gels. So I sit here and I look at this and I say maybe not in 2025 he's a Heisman finalist. But if he decides to come back in 2026, and he increases on what we think he potentially can do, I wholeheartedly believe Jackson Arnold will be a finalist for the Heisman, maybe in 2026. I wholeheartedly believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm just looking at how history and how stats normally happen. You normally get better the more you are in a system. You see that most of the time. You saw it with Nick Marshall when he was the second year under Gus Malzahn. He went from 1,900 yards passing to 2,500 yards passing. His rushing yards went down about 300 some yards, but he got better passing the ball under Gus Malzahn. Completion percentage went up about 2%. Now, I can't say that about other quarterbacks that Gus had, but in that situation, he did. He improved. And that's not a shot at Gus. That's just the fact. That's just the stats. It's just the facts of it. But you put Jackson Arnold in here, and we know how Hugh Freeze is, what we've seen him do with other guys who we consider to be less talented than the guy that we possibly have starting next year at quarterback. I'm telling you, man, this potentially could be something really, really good at Auburn going forward, man. Let's see what we got going on here, man. Throwing interceptions equals leaving the toilet seat up. Nah, gotta head out. War Eagle, man. See y'all next time. All right, JT, man. Appreciate you so much for coming through and rocking with us around the water cooler, man. We'll see you next time, my guy. Yeah, he said he was expecting to see Chris Todd on there, man. That's interesting. I mean, I feel you coming from talking the 2009 season, I believe. Talking about, yeah, I agree with you there. No, Cam Newton is not one. He is not, man. He is not. JA could have the passing yards record, but if he beats Jason Campbell's completion record, we would be undefeated. I agree. If he hits 70%, because Jason Campbell's was what, 69.6% that year. If he hits 70% completion this season, Auburn should definitely be in the playoff conversation. Just being honest with you. Martin, Peyton Thorne. Yes, Peyton Thorne was there. And we probably beat Arkansas with him. So adding a bowl game stats too, and he could have potentially been the all-time leading singles. That's my point. That is true, Bubba. That's the point. I'm telling you, man. It's a possibility. Could it be in 2025? Possibly, but realistically, probably not. If Jackson Arnold decides to come back in 2026, yes, I'm all on it. Auburn Dad comes in and says, man, with these stats, we were posted everywhere. So, Pete, can we see truth and come back down to earth? Which these stats were posted everywhere. So, Pete, can we see truth and come back down to earth? Yeah, man. I just put the stats out there. I just put them out there. I just put them out there, Auburn Dad. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Peyton Thorne played the best he possibly could this season. Him being benched tightened him up, and he finished decent. Texas A&M game was incredible. Very true, Martin. Very true. Very true. King Richard said, it's crazy to think as much crap given to PT that ranks so high on our QB rankings. All I can say is shame on us. You know what? I'm rocking with you right there, King Richard. Shame on us, because I definitely gave Peyton Thorne a lot of crap. I did. I gave him a lot of crap. And then towards the middle part of this past season, towards the end of it, I started having a lot of grace. And a lot of people said I was changing up. But when I actually started looking at the numbers and I started seeing what was happening, I was like, this all ain't on Peyton Thorne. A lot of this is coaching, and a lot of it was coaching and game management. And I think we saw that towards the end of the season as well. An all-time top 8 QBs played in the NFL. Very true. Let's bring that back up. You're right. You are correct. Damian Craig, Jarrett Stidham, Cam Newton, Jason Campbell, Pat Sullivan, Patrick Nix, Bo Nix, all played in the NFL. Just saying. You got it's very true. Very true. Bruss, Penn State gashing Notre Dame. Woo. I told shout out to Sharpshooters Podcast. We told Sharpshooters that if Penn State played Georgia, if Penn State had played Georgia in that game, Penn State probably would have won. We said that. We had that conversation. Go check that show out, man. Go check that show out. Travell said, oh, my bad. AU Dad said, so peeps see the stats and calm down. Oh, my bad. Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. Yeah. They can see the stats and be like, yeah. I get what you're saying now. My bad. Yeah. You're right, Auburn Dad. Travell said, 5 of the top 10 passes in Auburn history played under Gus. That don't mean he developed. That don't mean he developed them, Travell. Shout out to the king of the comments, though. I've been trying to tell y'all PT wasn't the only problem. Yeah, the only problem. Yeah, they say that the only, not the. He wasn't the only problem. You're right. Thank you, Bubba. And he developed 0 of. And I stated that earlier, man. And let's put it back up. You look right here. So Nick Marshall in 2014, like I stated, his numbers increased in 2014. He went from 1,900 yards passing to 2,500 yards passing. But if you look at Jarrett Stidham in 2017, Jarrett Stidham had 3,100 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 66.5%. Right? Let's go down to 2018, which is the 4th best season. 2,700 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 60% completion. By the numbers, Jarrett Stidham regressed. So I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna leave that there. Let's see. Nick Marshall did 2 not as a QB though. Okay. All right. I got you. He developed something if they improved under him. I'm just saying. I just put the numbers up there. I just put them up there. I have terrible types. No, you good. 3-0. Penn State 3, Notre Dame 0, second quarter. Yeah, man. I'm telling you. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the game. As soon as I get off here in a little bit, I'm going to go in there and sit down and watch it and see what's going on, man. At Travail, Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham regressed. Nick Marshall was the only to improve. That is true. That is very true. Bo Nix, I think Bo Nix increased a little bit, but when Harsin got there, I think he was on track to have his best season statistically under Harsin. If you go back and look at the numbers by that. So we'll see. I don't know. Just quote me on that. They ran the ball more in 2018. Dude. Here we go with that. All right. Okay. They ran the ball more in 2018, but they had Kerryon Johnson in 2017. Okay. All right. Penn State 10, Notre Dame 0. Let's see what's going on. Well, then why did his completion percentage go down by 6%? Ooh. Well, look, we were supposed to have this Gus debate Sunday on Auburn Addicts. Have you heard? Maybe we'll have it there. I don't know. Or maybe we can have it tomorrow. Maybe we'll get y'all guys on and we can have it tomorrow on the show. Y'all tell me if y'all want to do that. We have this Gus debate. But I appreciate y'all so much for joining me around the water cooler tonight, man. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us here, man. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit comment, like the show. Because we are trying to grow and we are trying to get better. Follow us on Twitter at CoolestPod23 as well, man, on Twitter, trying to grow our social media engagement. And of course, make sure you subscribe, like, and share the video. Use the hashtag WCTPod and hit the notification bell so you know when we post more videos and go live. We thank y'all so much, man. We are trudging along, trying to get to 600 subscribers. And we appreciate y'all so much for rocking with us here. Shout out to everybody that normally be in the chat with us, man. Everybody that watch but don't comment, and everybody that's in the chat with us. I appreciate all y'all so much, man. Thank y'all again for rocking with us here around the water cooler, man. Continue to try to bring you as much quality content and quality entertainment as we possibly can as well, man. All hearts and minds are clear before we get up out of here, man. As always, you all have a good one. Better yet, you all have a great one. I'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you tomorrow around the water cooler. Friday, January 10th. We'll see you then. But all hearts and minds are clear. You all have a good one. Better yet, y'all have a great one. Y'all be blessed, man. Be blessed. Be blessed. RIP to the 39th president of the United States, Jimmy Carter. JC, shout out to JC, man. Shout out to JC. We appreciate y'all so much, man. Y'all have a good one. Better yet, y'all have a great one. We had a comment come in right before we were supposed to happen. Okay. All right, it is what it is. I'm trying to end the show, but they still talking about it, man. I'm gonna start it over again and end the show again, man. Y'all have a good one. Better yet, y'all have a great one. Y'all be blessed, man. One love. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern around the water cooler, man. See you tomorrow. One love, everybody. Be blessed. Holla.
Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell so you know when we post more videos and go live.